the day you saved my soul. You've been proving
This is the XFL.
Hey guys, welcome back. Episode 9 of the XFL Extra Point. I'm Justin. I'm here with Thomas. Thomas, say something so people know you exist.
What's poppin', Jimbo?
Jimbo. Well, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to all.
That's
Like,
right.
what? 2 days away from when this comes out. It'll be the 23rd, but it's
Correct.
22nd now when we're recording, so 3 days. Coming up on Christmas. Coming up on the training camp starting soon, so that's going to be lit.
Hella
I
lit,
figure
fam.
we'll kind of announce this now. This is tentative. So the hope, seeing that all the training camps are going to be in Houston, and I'm in the Houston area. Thomas is in the Houston area for the time being. We're going to try to go to some of those, capture
Yes.
some exclusive footage if we can, see how close we can get to the field. I got a fancy DSLR camera that we can shoot stuff on, and so hopefully we'll capture some good stuff. The kind of stuff will probably be going up on Twitter, but it for sure will be going up on YouTube. So make sure you guys head over to our YouTube channel. It's just XFL Extra Point Podcast, I think. The podcast might be on there. But if it's not, just type in XFL Extra Point. Should be the first thing that pops up on YouTube. Go ahead, subscribe there. All our podcasts go up on there too. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter at XFL Extra Point. And if you guys have any questions, anything you want us to talk about, DM us there or send it to our email, contact or extrapointcontact@gmail.com, and we'll answer them on the show. So Thomas, how has it been since last week? How's your week going?
You know, it's going all right. Can't complain. Life is beautiful. Happy to be alive.
How is it being with your parents?
It's fine.
This little period of time.
Makes me feel like a child.
Still
but that's
haven't
all right.
still haven't seen you in person.
I
'Cause
know,
you've
yeah,
been,
you did.
Have I? When?
Oh, that was Thanksgiving. Never mind.
That was Thanksgiving. That was a while ago, Thomas. Haven't seen you in person since
we
you've been
had
back.
We had planned, but I'm currently very sick. So,
Well, let's hope we get through this show.
yes, I might have to legit.
news
I
and
might
notes.
have to stop and puke.
Okay, well,
For a little
we'll account for that if he
Yes.
pukes during the show.
Yes.
Or hell, we'll keep it in. I don't know. We'll see.
Yes.
News and notes as usual. A couple things to talk about. A lot of shit happened because training camps just ended. Some more little news about the league came out. And then part 2 of our Suns. So last week, if you guys didn't hear, we did part 1. That was our offensive Suns. This week's going to be defensive and special teams Suns in this part 2. Special teams is a little thing I added because, special teams players need some love too. We wouldn't have included them if I didn't. So, so yeah, we're going to go into part 2 of our Suns this week. Anything I'm missing in this little intro, Thomas?
No, you plug the Twitter at XFL Extra Point. I think we're good.
All right. Well, shit. Time for the news and notes drop.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
First story for the news and notes this week. So the XFL, I guess they released their headset rules for the upcoming 2020 season. According to XFL News Hub, they got this information from their sources. So as you know, they're going to be ramping up their efforts to speed up the game. They're going to be trying to make the game faster. That's their whole thing, trying to get it under 3 hours, like when you watch an NFL game. They take forever. So in an effort to speed up the game, we knew this was probably going to happen. Now I guess they formally made it clear that lots more players are going to be connected via their headsets on the field to the coaches. So we know now 2 players on defense will be tuned in, and 15 players, offensive players, will be tuned in. And what that means is like all the offensive starters and then a couple guys that'll sub, wide receiver, skill players that'll be subbing in and out. So 15 players will be linked up to their coaches as a way to speed up the game. So what this means for offense is pretty much no reason to huddle, right?
Yep.
Because they're going to get the plays. Like every player, the wide receiver will hear it, the quarterback will hear it, every single player, offensive lineman will hear the play. So they don't need to huddle up. Faster game that way. On defense, it's only 2 players, probably going to be the Mike, probably going to be someone in the secondary, maybe a safety, who will, tell their players, tell the other secondary players, tell the other front 7 players what they're doing on that play. So should speed up the game in conjunction with their new clock rules, their new officiating rules. So what do you think about this, Thomas?
I think it's a good idea. I hope it fucking works. because if you have difficulties with this, that's just a nightmare with the amount that you have on there. But, I mean, I like it. I don't know why the NFL doesn't have something like this, because it seems too easy. You know what I mean? Like, everyone should hear the play call. You shouldn't have to get it from one guy, and then one guy gets it from this guy. It seems too easy to not be in the top tier.
So here's my thing with this, right? The only thing I have a problem with is, like, I kind of like huddles.
Yeah.
Like, we've been in huddles. You'd be like, oh, good play, good. You know, like you're talking to each other in the huddle, and you're like, oh, like, watch me, I'm open over here. Like, you can't express those things to your quarterback, like, oh, this guy's been playing off me all game. Like, I'm going to get him on this one kind of thing that you can't express.
I suspect there might not be, like, a traditional, like, huddle up, but there will be a gathering of the players after each play still. Maybe not an actual huddle per se, but I think that'll still get covered and stuff like that, because I feel like that's too ingrained in the sport to just go away entirely.
And another thing is, with the defense only having 2 players, they still have to huddle.
Exactly.
When the offense doesn't. So, but, you know, it's an offensive game. I think that was kind of their idea, is to make it an offensive game. So I guess that makes sense. But, I mean, overall, this is smart.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to make the game faster, teams don't
for sure
huddle all that much anyway, like traditionally. Like, they don't sit there, take, you know, no huddle offense is a pretty big thing in the NFL. We see that a lot. It just calls, you know, because the quarterback has always been hooked into the coaches, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not that big of a difference, but they won't have to huddle almost ever, I don't feel like. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, so overall, not a bad thing. Good thing, speeds up the game. Next story. So, in one of our earlier shows, we speculated on where they might hold the XFL championship game, and we had kind of come to agreement, I think, if I remember this correctly, that they should do it in one of the team stadiums, as to get those people who are already fans in that area, who've already been coming to games, to show up to this championship game. So, well, now we have confirmation that that's what they're going to be doing. One of the, you know, the XFL News Hub received word from one of their sources that the championship game will be taking place at one of the XFL home stadiums. Yet it's still a question whether it will be a neutral stadium or one of the championship team stadiums. Personally, I think I'd rather it be a neutral stadium, but what do you think?
I think it's going to be in LA.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Regardless of anything, I think it's going to be in LA.
Could be LA. New York, maybe?
New York. I could see it being in New York, too. But it'll be in one of the big markets.
Right. I mean, all of these are pretty big markets. Houston's even a pretty big market.
You're not wrong, I suppose.
It's one of the biggest cities. I
and
mean,
all the training camps
I wouldn't be
in
surprised.
Houston, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's just keeping Houston. But I feel like they're also waiting to see who's going to be in the championship game, because I feel like they will make it a neutral site and go from there and pick from the best option, but I don't know. But if I had to put,
and no point of announcing it now.
Exactly. But if I had to put money down, I would say it's going to be in LA, just because that's the
Here's the thing.
entertainment, whatever.
Though this won't happen. What if Tampa Bay was like they were drawing the biggest crowds to their games every week? Then you'd have to pick Tampa Bay, right? Because you're like, that's who's getting the most, you know, fans to show up in the first place.
I mean, maybe, but also, like, if you have, say you have, like, the New York team and the Seattle team, like, are they going to travel to Tampa Bay?
I mean, they will during the season. I mean,
that's true. I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, well, another thing to consider with this is man, I just had this point on the top of my head. Who has the nicest stadium, right? Like, I think I almost call them the Seahawks, the Dragons, who are playing at the Seahawks Stadium, probably have the nicest stadium in the league.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So would you not want to just pick your nicest stadium? That'd be another thing that you'd have to consider there. I mean, it's still a lot of questions on how they're going to pick which stadium to go, but at least we know it's going to be one of the home stadiums and not be some, you know, in a city that doesn't have a team yet, like San Francisco or something.
Yeah.
So we know that. Again, easy story, but now we have a little more confirmation. Still waiting on where that's going to be, but just something that came out this week.
Yeah.
So our next story, this is kind of the biggest thing that happened, I think, and this is what kind of took over Twitter a couple days ago and has been taking over Twitter, is we kind of had our first transactions in this new version of the XFL, and that being trades and cuts. So at the end of last week, we saw the mini camps end, and with it came those transactions. We had 2 separate trades, one between the Wildcats and the Vipers, and we saw them exchange cornerbacks. It was LA trading cornerback Jalen Collins in exchange for the Vipers' Arian Springs. So now they are on separate teams. This came after the first trade we saw. So this was the second trade that happened. The first trade we saw was between the Battlehawks and the Renegades, where the Battlehawks traded Marcus Jones, linebacker, in exchange for wide receiver Keith Murphy. So we still need to do probably more research into why these trades happened and what value they bring to the team. But I think we can talk in like a macro sense of what this means that this is happening so early.
Yes.
Just in terms of trades.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
Okay. One thing
say?
that I do want to say is I believe that... Hold on, I totally just lost my train of thought. Totally left me. Sorry, hold on.
Okay, well,
You
I'll
can
speak
talk,
on what
yeah.
I think this means.
Sorry.
I mean, I'm surprised we're getting trades this early.
Yes.
Just because these teams are still going to change, and I don't know if they've learned enough in that mini camp. I mean, I think it was 2 weeks that they're already making trades. And unlike cuts that we're going to talk about in a second, you know, are they trading these players? They're not trading these players away because they think they're not talented enough, or they don't think.
Okay.
You know, it could be attitude, whatever reason people normally cut for. Trades are a little bit different than cuts.
Yes. I was going to say, in the case of the St. Louis trade for Keith Mumphrey, they were already kind of down a receiver because they had mutually parted ways with Quentin Patton.
That's true.
So
yeah.
I think that was more of just, we need a receiver. Who do we like? Where's he at? How can we get him?
Yeah, to me that makes more sense. The Marcus Jones and the Keith Murray one, Keith Murphy, makes more sense to me than the cornerback for cornerback trade.
Yeah.
I don't know either of these players, just like off the top of my head. I couldn't tell you if they're different. One's a zone, one's a man, one's a, I couldn't tell you that right now just looking at the names. But I think when we look into that more, it'll make more sense. Maybe they just needed a bigger corner or a guy who could play nickel. Maybe one's a nickel, one's a,
Possibly,
those
yeah.
things
It
could be
a
the reason that
multitude of
happened.
things. It could be they didn't get along personally and this team was interested. Something
true.
as minor as that, so it's just...
But interesting. I didn't even know this was possible. I didn't know you could trade yet.
And the timing of it was hilarious because in my head, because I saw the Keith Mumphrey and Marcus Jones trade first, and then I saw the cornerback trade. And in my head, the scenario that I had in my head was they saw the first trade go through, and then the Wildcats were like, "Wait a minute, we can trade."
Yeah,
and then
probably.
they traded for a corner. So that probably isn't what happened, but that's just the scenario in my head.
Yeah. And I think, we'll look into this more probably for next week's show. Actually, wait, I should have announced this. Middle of our news and the thing. Don't think we're having a show next week. We're going to, take in the holidays. We got New Year's coming up, and we've got, Christmas. Figure we take the week off and regroup. Hopefully, Thomas, have a live show, or like in person where we're in the same room.
I'd
maybe.
be down.
Because you're here for a little while, right? So
Yes, I am.
hopefully we'll be able to give that to you guys at some point. But next week, probably no show. I'll announce it if anything changes, but right now, don't think there's going to be a show. So, and that'll give us time to come up with more things to talk about because it's kind of a dry period because everyone's going off for Christmas. Doubt there's going to be much news happening.
Yep.
So, anyway, let's go on to the second part. So I said we had our first XFL trades. Now, the sadder part, we have our first XFL cuts. So specifically, we learned of the LA Wildcats, that their cuts. I did read on Twitter, though I can't source this, that all teams made cuts, but none of it's been made public like with the Wildcats. I don't know if that's for sure that all teams made cuts. I saw at one point they said they were cutting down to 50 players. All teams were cutting down to 50 players. I'm not sure if that was a reputable source. I can't remember. It was one of those things I was scrolling through Twitter and then didn't save. So if that is the case, more teams made cuts. But for sure, we know the Wildcats made their cuts. 5 players were cut. So that was cornerback C.J. Moore, offensive tackle Anthony Morris, defensive tackle, defensive end Sean Oakman, offensive tackle Damian Prince, and linebacker Jeremiah Spicer. So, of those guys, there was really 2 big names in that cut that I think, all the guys, sad that they got cut, but there was 2 names that came really as a shock, I think. And that was, of course, Sean Oakman and Jeremiah Spicer. Oakman, of course, was one of the biggest names in the XFL because of his popularity from the memes.
Yes.
All the memes of him when he was at Baylor. Huge dude. And so he became a meme just for being big. He had some red flag issues in terms of personality, and so that could be the reason for the cuts. Can't confirm that, but that is one of the theories, is that he's just doesn't get along with coaches very well. But he kind of was one of the guys the Wildcats were pushing a lot on social media before mini camps, that they were kind of, because he was one of the biggest names in the XFL, not just on the Wildcats, in the XFL. He was one of the most well-known names. The other big name, of course, is Jeremiah Spicer, who was a fan favorite and another big name in the XFL just because of his story. He was homeless when he was younger, didn't get any D1 offers, went to not a D1 school, I don't know what school he went to, and he eventually got into arena football where he played well there, and finally he got a shot at the XFL. They promoted him a lot on social media because he had such a great story. Players loved him, and I think that's the biggest outcry from fans right now with these cuts, is that they're saying, oh, Jeremiah Spicer, he deserved a shot. Like, just at least let him play one game or something,
Yeah,
So,
but it's more, there's more to it than that.
right, and so Coach Winston Moss, he spoke on this. He said, it's an ugly part of the business. It's something you don't ever want to go through. It's the first time. It's my first time having to do this. The players were very emotional. You get attached to these guys very quickly, and it hurts to see them go. He even spoke on Spicer specifically because he's such a fan favorite, and he said Jeremiah was a special case. He deserved a shot. We gave him an opportunity. It was unfortunate we had to release him, but we have to do what's best for the Wildcats. So it seems to have been a talent issue, which sucks, but
It is what it is.
Yeah. Jeremiah Spicer, the Sean Oakman one, I don't think made a lot of people upset, but the Jeremiah Spicer one definitely did. I think he was a fan favorite. He was just a guy that he had such a good story.
Everyone likes a good
people
story.
were really behind him.
Yeah.
So, other than that, it sucks to see guys get cut, but it's the nature of the business.
It has to happen.
We even had people asking us what our opinions on that, and I don't want to be callous, but it's like you can't just let a guy play because he has a good story.
Yeah,
like,
because there's if he's a liability in any factor of the game, then he can't be out there. That's just how it goes.
And you feel for him. Maybe he is. Maybe he is talented. Maybe he just didn't fit with the Wildcats, and we don't know. And
maybe he'll get picked up.
It's still possible that he could get picked up by another team, and it would make sense for another team to give him a shot. At least try him out, and you can cut him if you don't like him either. But I think another team should give him a shot. He has such a good story. You're going to get a lot of fans on your side if you do that. And I think that'd be smart for another team to just pick him up, let him try out, let him do in training camp. And if you still feel like he's not up to snuff with what you have, then let him go again. But Jeremiah Spicer specifically is who I feel the worst for out of all these cuts.
Yes. Yeah. I agree with all that. It's unfortunate that has to happen, but it has to happen. So.
Yeah, it's the nature of the business. We see in the NFL all the time, guys getting cut that we're fans of. So, hopefully he gets signed by another team. Hopefully he gets another shot. I guess time will tell if there was more cuts. As I said, we don't know if any other team cut players. But if one team did, then we'd assume other teams probably did too. So we'll see who those guys are in the coming weeks probably. Will be interesting to see if players move teams. Sean Oakman could very well get another shot on another team just based on his size and his name. So that could happen. Jeremiah Spicer hopefully too. But any of these other guys, none of them stick out as guys I know. Do you know any of the other guys? C.J. Moore, Anthony Morris,
Damian Prince is an offensive lineman. I believe he went to Ohio State. When he came out of Ohio State, his feet, his footwork was terrible. So maybe that didn't change. And if that didn't change, and yeah, that's absolutely why.
Right.
C.J. Moore sounds familiar. Let me do a quick Google search.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, C.J. Moore. Yeah, he played for the Lions.
Oh, that does sound familiar, actually.
Yeah. That's why that's why it sounded so familiar. He was a safety for the Lions, or it says DB, so he probably played both. I don't know anything about him besides that, so he's probably just I don't want to say just a filling guy, because clearly he's good at football, but probably not a playmaker or anything like that, and he's only 24. I don't know then. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah.
It's very well that all these guys could end up on another team. We'll see what happens, I'm sure.
As you said, the Wildcats weren't the only team to cut people.
It's just the only ones we're aware of at this moment.
Yes.
So, okay. Well, that's it for news and notes this week. We'll probably have updates on any of these stories if anything changes next. Oh, I guess we're not having a show next week. Next time we have a show, we'll give you any updates if anything changes in terms of these stories. But interesting to see what happens with these players and if any more players get put on waivers, because cut is a little rough. They are on the waivers, so anyone can pick them up. So, all right. Well, that's our news and notes. Let's move on to the big chunk of our show.
Big Chungus.
Our big chungus of the show. Our Suns, Part 2. Defensive side, special teamers. And let's get it started. I think I went first last week, so you go first this week.
Okay.
Yeah? Dallas Renegades.
So,
who is your son?
My Dallas Renegades son is Tigre Scales, linebacker at the University of Indiana. So this guy, while he was at Indiana, was a tackle machine. I talked about him a little bit in our inaugural episode.
Right.
But just literally, if he's around the play was being stopped more often than not. He plays above his weight class. He is a little undersized for a linebacker, but it doesn't really show up on tape too much in terms of contact and making contact. He's fine in coverage. I would even say that he's acceptable for an NFL level in coverage. He is not going to be a liability in coverage whatsoever. Like, he'll be fine. And he finds work, even when he's not, in the right gap for the play or anything like that. He'll find something to do, which is a very important trait for a linebacker to have. I love Tigre Scales. I believe he was on the Steelers practice squad for a while, and I think he bounced around a couple more practice squads, but he was a guy I wanted the Browns to draft, and wish we drafted him. Love Tigre Scales. Think he's awesome.
Yeah, I was about to ask if he was ever on the Browns.
No, but he was one of the guys who, whenever I do my thousands of mock drafts leading up to the actual draft, I would always mock him to the Browns in the later rounds because I love Tigre Scales. Right.
Okay. So I also picked. So is he? Do you know he's more of a outside linebacker, middle linebacker?
So he won't be a middle linebacker traditionally in like a 4-3 where there's only where there's only like three linebackers on the field. He can play inside if he has another. Like, he can play a strong side inside linebacker, but he's probably more suited to be an outside linebacker just because he can cover.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I also have, different. I have a pass rusher for the Renegades.
Edge.
Yeah. So he can play outside linebacker, but more so as a pass rusher. That's just what he does. And who I'm talking about is Hau'oli Kikaha. So he's from the University of Washington, plays for the Dallas Renegades. He was their first round selection from this phase. Don't remember which phase it was, but
whatever the front
seven
was,
guys.
Yeah.
So he was their first selection for the Dallas Renegades. He was the guy who, when we went over in that first episode, that I predicted to be the defensive MVP. So he is absolutely like a producer as a pass rusher. At Washington, he broke the school's record for career sacks. After his senior season, he recorded 14 sacks on that year, so he reached 36 for his career, broke their record. So obviously he was a producer in college. He got into the NFL. He was like a really productive guy in the NFL for his rookie season. 4 sacks, 52 tackles on only 14 full games, and he wasn't taking starting snaps every play and when he was with the Saints. So he would end up tearing his ACL the next season, be ruled out, and then he came back, had another good year for limited snaps, 12 games, another 4 sacks, but then he injured his ankle, and so he was waived the following year, and he just hasn't played anywhere since.
Yeah.
And so I always feel bad for guys who, were promising guys. Maybe they weren't game breakers, but they were productive and probably could have kept playing in the NFL. Mm-hmm. But then they get their careers derailed by injury. And so, a guy like that, I always feel like has a shot to get back in the NFL if he can prove that he can stay healthy.
Yeah.
If he has a good season with the XFL. Mm-hmm. So I root for guys, who can get a second chance. So that's one of the reasons why he's my son. But even just as a player, he's like a really, really productive pass rusher. Mm-hmm. Like, that's obvious. If you just look at his stats, you watch him play, he's great at rushing the quarterback. But the stats don't tell the whole story because he has a fair amount of tackles, but like he has a lot of not tackles for loss, but like tackles, for a 1 yard gain.
Yeah.
He's really good at like containing outside runs. Even if he doesn't get the tackle, he can force the outside guy, the tackle, to seal off that edge, force the guy back inside. Someone else will get the tackle. He won't get very many yards. He just seems productive, even though he's not a game breaker. Mm-hmm. He's a guy, when I watched his tape, that I'm just not sure why he's not on an NFL roster, and the only reason I could think of is because he was injured.
So when you get injured and you take a break, kind of like this guy did, I assume he's just getting healthy, just for the litany of injuries you have. But the bad side of that is when you take a break, a lot of teams, it's just the mentality of the NFL. It's like, oh, well, he's soft or he's washed. So,
right.
Even though that may not necessarily be correct, that's just what it is. So,
and that's what I think. It's good chance for him in the XFL to show he's still got it, get back in the NFL. He's one of the guys that's probably going to only play for one season. If he does well,
mm-hmm.
he'll move on to the NFL. I don't think he has long-term plans, of staying in the XFL. He could, I guess, but I think he'd want to. He's pretty young. I could see him wanting to get back into the NFL.
Yeah.
And he's the guy, I still think he's probably going to be the defensive MVP. He's still the guy. He's just, when you watch his tape, he's an NFL level talent. He could even be really good, I think, if he just had no injuries, just had time to develop. Like, he wasn't a guy who was going to be his rookie season be the best, but like he could have been an older, more veteran guy who, not a Pro Bowl guy, but like a good guy, like a very solid starter.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping he'll get his chance, and that's why I'm rooting for him. That's why Hau'oli Kikaha is my son for the Dallas Renegades on the defensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well,
now we're going to move on to... Oh, you got something to say?
No, you're good. I was going to move on as well, so I'm good.
All right. So now we're going to move on to the DC Defenders. You go first here.
Alrighty.
Who's your son?
So my son on the DC Defenders is one Scooby Wright, who is a linebacker out of the University of Arizona. There's a linebacker, actually a Texas Tech alum, but that's not why I like him, who played for the Dolphins, named Zach Thomas. He was an undersized linebacker that basically always knew where to be and how to get there. Scooby Wright is basically the light version of that. He is like, every comparison, every trait he has is like, oh, Zach Thomas, oh, Zach Thomas, oh, Zach Thomas, which is a very, very, very good thing. He knows what the play is. Like, you watch some of his tape from Arizona, especially his, I don't know if it was his senior season or his junior season, but this last season before he left for the draft, he diagnosed his plays before they happen. It's awesome to watch it because you can kind of see him shade a little bit on the inside or get a little more outside leverage, and then it's like, oh, that's where the play was going. So it's just awesome to see. That's great. That makes me giggle, makes me smile, and he is super productive in college. I believe he was, at one time, or at least either his senior season or junior season, he led the NCAA in tackles. So pretty good.
Okay. Is it bad that I don't know who Zach Thomas is?
No, because he's very underrated. He should be in the Hall of Fame, but he's not.
Okay.
But he's very, very good. Zach Thomas
I remember
is really
Scooby Wright.
yeah, Zach Thomas
got a name that jumps out to me when I look. I remember him getting drafted. It's just one of those names like that's not only because his name's Scooby, but like I remember him playing in the NFL. Obviously, I don't know a ton about him. He didn't.
Yes.
You know,
he's not a really very good athlete. Like he ran like a four. I think I ran a faster 40 than him in high school, which is, you know,
That's sad.
not very good. But it's different when he's on field, and maybe he's just not fast enough to play at the NFL level, which is possible. But
Right.
just he knows where to be and how to get there, and that's if you're an A+ on that, you can be a D+ on other things. So
Okay.
he's just really good at that.
So me and you have just an observation before I move on to my son. Me and you have very different reasons why people become our sons.
Why would
You
say that?
you really look into their play a lot. Like, oh, I just like how he plays. Whereas me, it's like I either like their story or I have some. You'll see on one of my other players why I like a player, and I do like his play, but like that's not the reason he first became a player I liked.
Well,
You know?
for me, like I feel like everyone has a story. You know what I mean? And while not
Right.
everyone's like Jeremiah Spicer, where they were left in a trash can when they were a baby, that's another level up. But like everyone's got a story, and nobody pessimistic Thomas here, but nobody is as perfect or as nice as they may seem, but also nobody is whatever. The story stuff, a lot of that gets puffed up by if they get focused on, and I don't tend to gravitate towards that as all. So that would be why.
Gotcha.
But that's just my opinion
Okay.
on that.
Right. You're just heartless and cold.
Sure, yes, we'll go with that.
Gotcha. Okay. So my son for the DC Defenders, free safety, Raheem Moore out of UCLA. He was a prolific guy in college. Not really the reason why he's my son, but I figured I'd mention it. He was named to several, All-American, All-Pac-12 kind of stuff. He led the nation at one point with 10 interceptions. So really good in college. I think he got picked in the second round, if I'm correct. So he went on to play for the Broncos, where he kind of got screwed by the Broncos. And it's like usually I feel like it's not so much. See, this is the thing. You're trying to make it like, oh, you're getting swayed by public perception, but like everyone hates this guy, especially if you're a Broncos fan, because like lots of people want to label him as a thug, as like a dirty player, and I just think I want to call it undisciplined.
Which, yeah.
He has a lot of talent and he doesn't know how to control the talent, and he's very aggressive but he doesn't know how to control it, and I think that's how the XFL will help him. So he got screwed by the Broncos because they were in the playoffs and there was very easy play. Think like Minnesota Miracle, where they were playing against the Ravens in the playoffs. The Broncos were. It was like a streak down the sideline. Joe Flacco chucking it up to Jacoby Jones.
Yep.
And he tries to make a play on it and he trips and it's just awful and it scores a touchdown and they lose the game. And so he kind of fell out of favor with the Broncos because of that. And I hate that someone's career can get tainted by one play like that. Like he's solid. He makes some little mistakes, but he has a lot of talent. And if you work on him, he can get better. I know he was on the Browns for like a day or something, a week.
Yeah.
Do you know why he's no longer on? Why that was only a
so
week
he was on the
stint?
Browns. He really, I don't even remember if he was really actually made the team. No. So
He didn't.
he initially made the Browns 53-man roster and then was released the day after, which sucks.
Yeah.
But I think he was just a product of who we had at the time, because that's when we had. Let me do a quick Google search. I believe that's when we signed Dante Whitner, which is hilarious because Dante Whitner was fucking terrible for Cleveland. But let's see. Those are my free agents. I don't care about that. Yeah, that's when we had Dante Whitner, and we still had Deshaun Gibson as well at this point. So
Right.
we
He
were
just didn't make
we
the
were
team.
fine at safety, and we didn't need him, and we were confident that Dante Whitner wouldn't be ass, but alas, he was. And I mean, Dante Whitner is a good safety, and he had a good career, but he just was not good for the Browns
Not
at
really
all.
with the Browns.
He got blocked by Peyton Manning. That's all you need to know.
Anyway,
Yes.
back to Raheem Moore.
Yes, Raheem Moore. Yes.
So another reason he's my son is he's just kind of that old school DB where he's not, the most technically sound guy in the world, but he's just aggressive as hell, and he likes to lay big hits on receivers after they catch the ball, which is pretty dangerous, and definitely has went out of favor recently because, we want to, safety and everything. But it's fun to watch. Like, you gotta admit, it's fun to watch. And when you see a guy lay a big hit, that's part of the reason we all became fans of football. Is we liked seeing this aggressive, testosterone-fueled game where people were running into each other and smacking the shit out of each other. Like I said with running backs, like how I like power backs more than I do elusive backs, even though we don't see power backs anymore, really.
Yeah.
They're few and far between.
Mm-hmm.
I just like aggressive football. And so he's one of those guys who just knocks the fuck out of everyone he plays against, and it'll get him in a lot of trouble, as I said, with his discipline stuff. Like, he has talent, he's fast, he can lay big hits, but he can just make dumb errors, little mistakes where he's not being disciplined, he can't control his aggressiveness, he'll hit people late, he'll do shit like that'll cost himself or his team, and I'm just hoping he goes to the XFL. Maybe he cleans that up, maybe he doesn't. He's a kind of guy where I could see him being the XFL for a little while, which is something I like, because I feel like I can root for him for longer than one season. Will he get back in the NFL? I'm not sure, but I think he's a fun guy to watch, and if he can just if he can just have a little more discipline, he can play at a higher level. He's not the best coverage guy, but I like watching him smack the shit out of people and hit people hard. So that's why he's my son for the DC Defenders.
All right. Well, that's a good reason. So my son on the DC Defenders, or I'm sorry, we're moving on.
You
to
already
the
gave me
Houston
your son,
Roughnecks.
Thomas.
Yes.
Jeez, you're all mixed up.
I'm
Moving on
mixed.
to the Houston Roughnecks, Thomas.
All right.
Who's your son for the Houston Roughnecks?
My son for the Houston Roughnecks is Ty Schwab, who is a linebacker at a Boston college.
Okay.
So Ty Schwab, looking at his tape, plays like a fucking psycho, which is good. I say that in the nicest way possible. That's not play like a psycho where you're Brian Cushing and you headbutt people with your helmet.
Gotcha.
This dude is, as soon as the helmet's on and the whistle blows, he is 110% just pedal to the absolute metal until the play is over. He's your classic run-stopping linebacker, but he can cover tight ends. When he got to Boston College, he actually came to Boston College. This is hilarious because he hated Florida State because they didn't give him an offer because it was like his dream to play for Florida State, and he was like certain that he was going to play for Florida State because he was a highly touted recruit, and they just didn't give him an offer. So he came to Boston College, and the whole time his whole motivating was like, yo, fuck Florida State, which I can respect. So yeah, this guy played with Harold Landry, who is now an edge rusher for the Titans. And he was really good at making the opposing offenses respect his presence and either not rely on middle of the field plays too much, just because he's there. Really, he has a really good range as a tackler. A lot of the thumper type linebackers are more like you have to be head up on you until they can lay the wood. He can still get you by your shoelaces and be just fine. I just really like Ty Schwab. Plays like a psycho, nonstop, relentless motor. Looks awesome in shoulder pads. He's a little short, but yeah, sideline range. He's great. I like Ty Schwab.
Can I do a little sidebar on something you said at the very beginning? I didn't want to cut you off, but I want to mention it now.
Go for it.
So you were talking about Brian Cushing headbutting people with his helmet on?
With his helmet off.
Oh, with his helmet off.
Yes.
Well, okay. Well, still, this will still be. I can still tell the story, even though it's not quite accurate.
Go for it.
So you started playing football in high school, like freshman year, right?
Yes.
Okay. So in junior high, I can't remember this kid's name. We had one kid. His name was Travis. Mm-hmm. And he would go by, and he would when we were in junior high, he would grab people by their face masks and just headbutt the fuck out of them. Mm-hmm. Both of them would have their helmets on. Mm-hmm. He'd headbutt the fuck out of people.
Yes.
And he would do that in like a playful way. And one time he did it to this one kid, and I do not remember this kid's name. He headbutted the fuck out of him, and he gave the kid a concussion. He was out for like 6 weeks.
Oh, God.
It was just something I remember when you said headbutt people. But has nothing to do with your son. But I know his last name, but I don't want to say his last name.
That's fine. You don't have to.
I'll tell you after the show. Okay. You might already know who I'm talking about.
My senior year of high school, there was a player that did the same thing. And did it to me, and because I was the first one standing there, and I was not prepared. and did not feel good. And I'm pretty sure I caught. Maybe I don't think I got concussed, but it was like, ow, what the fuck? And it was,
Yeah, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good. So, don't do that. That's stupid.
Yeah.
You're not
So
tough.
hopefully
You're not
Ty
cool.
Schwab.
You're retarded.
We'll tie this back to Ty Schwab.
Yes.
Hopefully he doesn't play like that. Hopefully
No, he does not.
He's a psycho, but he won't be headbutting.
He
people.
plays like a psycho. He's not a psycho. Big difference.
Got you. Okay. Well, somehow I tied that back to Ty Schwab. We're going to move on to my son for the Houston Roughnecks. So he's actually kind of a similar guy. He's not. He's definitely a run-stopping backer. Not great in pass coverage. This is Edmund Robinson from Newberry College. Have you ever heard of Newberry College?
I have not, sir.
Neither have I. So that's a Division II school. So Robinson was the first Division II player selected from his draft class, and it was the Vikings who selected him in the 7th round of the 2015 draft. He was also the first player selected from his school since 1974. So, always rooting for small school guys. We want him to get a shot.
Of course.
He did play in the NFL. He was actually part of one of my all-time favorite Vikings draft classes. It was the 2015 class, included Stephon Diggs, right? Eric Kendricks, fantastic.
Pretty
Daniil
good.
Hunter, fantastic. And Trey Waynes, okay.
Trey Waynes,
He's all right. He's fine. I'm okay with him staying with the Vikings.
All right. As long
Don't need
as
to get rid of
Rhodes
him.
is gone.
So he played his first 2 seasons with the Vikings, and I remember him filling in for an injured Anthony Barr. At one point, he started a game because Anthony Barr had gotten hurt that year. And obviously, he played the run very well, but he definitely was, we would take him out on passing situations. But he did record a pass deflection in that first start, so I guess they ran a pass play, and, he did something good. So I guess he's not a complete liability, but he's not a guy you want on the field in pass situations, probably.
Yeah.
But can play the run very well. Interestingly, the next week after Anthony Barr had come back, he only played 6 snaps, but he racked up 5 tackles on those 6 snaps.
Sufficiency.
That's productive. If you're only getting 6 snaps, 5 of those plays, you were making the tackle. So, always rooting for former Vikings, as long as they didn't hurt me, Percy Harvin. All right. So that's why I'm rooting. That's why he's my son. Not a ton to it, but he hurt me because he was like, "Oh, I got migraines. I just don't want to play for you guys." Let me go. And then he went to the Seahawks, and they got to the Super Bowl.
Oh, fair enough.
I have a Percy Harvin jersey. God damn it.
You have several Vikings jerseys.
I know, but most of them didn't hurt me.
Most of them didn't hurt me.
Percy Harvin, he hurt me.
He hurt you bad?
He was a guy I loved. But he hurt me. Do you know anything about Edmund Robinson?
No. He escapes my vast knowledge, so.
He's actually one of those guys that I see, when I look at people talking about the defenses. I've looked up some things, and some articles, and he's one of those guys they bring up. I couldn't find, a ton of, I don't know. He must have played elsewhere. I think he played for the Arizona Hotshots. In the AAF. I think he was good there, but in the AF. But when I looked up his stats, they didn't blow me away. So I don't know why he's regarded so highly, but he's a former Vikings guy, so of course I'm rooting for him. And he's Division II guy, small school guys you root for. So he's my son. There's actually not a ton of Roughnecks players that I'm rooting for. I'm just going to root for them as a team. They're the hometown team, and I love Philip Walker.
I love Philip Walker.
Edmund Robinson, he's cool. He's a Viking.
He's cool.
He was a
cool
Viking.
Guy.
So, wish the best for him. You are my honorary son. So, we're going to move on to the LA Wildcats. Now, can I, are you going to say something?
I'm sorry, go for it. I don't know what you're going to say.
What I'm going to say here is obviously Tawan Jones is our guy.
Yeah, friend of the show,
right?
Tawan Jones, of course.
He can't be our son, sadly.
Cannot.
He's friend of the show, but he's my favorite player on the Wildcats. So, I don't know if you feel the same, but I like Tawan Jones a lot. He would be my son if he could be.
Yes.
But he's not. So you go first. Who is your son on the defense or special teams of the Wildcats?
Yes. I don't have any special team sons because I didn't look at it because I forgot. But defensively, my son is Jalen Dunlap, who I put cornerback here, but is really more of just overall defensive back from the University of Illinois. This dude, So when I was growing up, I was a Michigan fan. So I still watch Michigan games to this day, and I still watch Big Ten games usually because that's what's on. And
Right.
I get to watch some Illinois games, and although this guy has been really unlucky with injuries, whenever he's played, he's been like the dude on that defense. He's a long corner. He's like 6 foot, 200 pounds, which for a corner is big. And he could keep up with guys. He does. Excuse me, one moment. Pause for cough.
Let it all out.
All right. He does have the absolute alpha move of being a cornerback and wearing number 1, and I respect it. Big respect. But you can tell he was kind of the big dog at Illinois and that he was really just hampered by injuries. He is from Chicago, so he stayed home, but he could have gone other spots, and he stuck with Illinois. So Jalen Dunlap,
Gotcha.
I think he's got really great potential. He's still super young, so we'll see if he can stay healthy. He might not be in the XFL for long.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
right.
Makes sense. I don't know anything about this guy, but I do like big corners. Like, how big are we talking here?
He's 6 foot, 200 pounds, feller.
How big is this guy? How big are we talking?
He's girthy.
Like, tall?
He's 6 foot.
How 6 foot?
Yeah.
I like him
for-
more around the 6'2" range.
6'2". Well, that's. And you're looking at safeties, feller. But anyway.
I'm just saying. How tall? I was gonna say that, and then I thought who I was gonna say, and then I've since not liked this guy anymore. I was gonna say Xavier Rhodes.
Okay. This year is a bad example because he was really good at one point.
Yeah, but he's a tall dude.
Yes.
So I was thinking maybe he's like Xavier Rhodes but hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
All right, my son for the LA Wildcats is a special teamer, my only special teamer on this list. Nick Novak, he's a kicker from Maryland. So upon further research, everyone knows who Nick Novak is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's one of those dudes who's been around forever, like forever, and he's been on like a ton of teams, and he's that guy who he was never like a starter and stayed with teams for like a long period of time, not a Robbie Gould, those kind of guys, or Justin Tucker or anything, but he's one of those guys who was brought in a lot because someone was injured or someone was awful, and they're like, hey, we need a kicker, and last minute we need a kicker, and he was that guy who would come in. He did have a longer stint with the Chargers, but he's been on the Bears, the Cowboys, the Redskins, the Cardinals, the Jets. He's even been on a team he was on. In research of him, I learned of something I didn't even know existed called NFL Europa, which I have no clue what that is, but
It's NFL in Europa.
but it apparently discontinued. He was in the last season of it. He only played one season, but apparently he was very good there too. He holds a bunch of all-time stuff, or he's in the 20s and all-time and 40-yard field goals and stuff like that. He's just this most experienced guy. He's one of the most recognizable names to me in the entire XFL. I probably even considered him during our kicking woes to come in and save us. But now we have Dan Bailey. He's all right.
Yeah.
But Nick Novak is one of those guys you just know a lot about, and everyone knows who he is. And I want to root for the guy because he's stuck with the game for years. I think he got drafted, I think he was undrafted in 2005, and he's still kicking it. 14 years later, and some, yeah, right. Nick the Kick Novak, he's still kicking it.
Still kicking it.
It's actually his nickname. Apparently, is Nick the Kick Novak.
Nick the Kick.
He was a legend in Maryland. He's legendary at the University of Maryland because he was just so good there, and he won all these awards, and he was listed as one of the greatest athletes ever to come out of Maryland.
Wow.
it's this guy's crazy. He's been around for so long, and he's just one of those names that I was oh, Nick Novak, he's in the XFL, and you gotta support a guy who's been playing for 14 years. You know what? I'm gonna go play for an alternative league.
Yeah.
Even though I could probably retire, I've probably made enough money in 14 years of work, but he still wants to kick the ball, and now he's kicking it for the LA Wildcats. I support my son Nick Novak.
Support my son Nick Novak. Do you still support him when he's peeing on the sideline?
Yes, I saw this, and I actually made me like him more. Sometimes you gotta pee. I don't know what to...
Covert
what to
whiz
tell you.
operation. So how do you think
Yeah.
he fucking... Was he like, hey, listen. I gotta
About
pee.
the peeing situation?
I gotta pee. Can you hold this towel while I pee? And they're like, the locker room is right. And he's like, no. You don't understand.
Well, if you read, let me click this because there's a little description that I was about to ask a question, and then I just saw in the description explaining exactly why I thought this might have happened. So before fourth down comes, he takes an opportunity to relieve tension and his bladder while waiting for the call. He doesn't have time to run to the locker room and pee, but he's really got to pee, and you're not going to... If 13-13 with a minute left, you want to have to pee while you're kicking the game-winning field goal? I don't think so.
You're right.
And he doesn't have time to run the locker room pee because he's about to run out there and kick the game-winning field goal. So, just saying, can't blame him for that.
Can't blame. I mean, I don't blame him at all. It just must have been like, hey, trainerman, do you have a towel?
What did he pee into?
I assume a cup, unless he just let that thing hang out all over the ground. That'd be.
I don't know why. I clicked to... What second was that? Hold up.
You're good.
I just heard him, so I clicked like a random second. It was like 5 seconds, and all I hear is the commentator go, "Range is." I don't know where that came from.
Hey, maybe
it's a weird video.
Maybe he needed to release some stress the other way. You know what I mean? Golly.
But yeah, you know what? This makes me like him more. I don't even know, like, good on him. He didn't want to risk messing up the kick, so he had to pee.
He had to pee.
You gotta give it to him. That's a professional.
And not on the Gatorade rack because that's nasty.
Yeah, I hope he did too. I doubt he peed on the Gatorade rack.
Now the pro move would be to pee in the cup and then leave the cup on the little cart, so then someone picks it up thinking it's Gatorade, and then take a sip, and they're like, "Oh, I want Gatorade."
That's like a classic wrestling rib.
That would be the troll move.
If this was wrestling, that would have been what happened.
Drink my piss.
But Nick Novak's probably scared of all these gigantic dudes, and
But
he's
no
like,
one would know. Well, people would know because he got televised, but he assumed the cameras weren't like, "Go get him! He's peeing! Get a fucking close up! Get in there!"
But yeah, that made me like Nick Novak more. You are my son, Nick Novak.
Push my piss.
Let's
for
go Wildcats.
SummerSlam.
Let's see some good field goals out of you. All right, moving on.
Kick the ball.
Nick the Kick Novak.
That's
We're
right.
moving on to the New York Guardians.
All
So
right.
you go first on this one.
So, the New York Guardians, this is actually tough for me, as I was talking with Justin before the show, because the New York Guardians have 3 linebackers who I consider my son. However, I can only pick one as the ultimate son. So, my ultimate son of the New York Guardians defensive squad is Frank Ginda, who is a linebacker out of San Jose State University. This dude, again, kind of the same mold as Scooby Wright. Just a fucking tackle machine. He led the NCAA in tackles in his last season. He is undersized, and he is maybe not quite as good of an athlete for the NFL. But goddamn, if he's not a run stuffer. And he actually isn't that bad of a block shedder as well, which will actually make him a little bit of a pass rusher. He's not bendy enough to be on the outside, so he's not really going to be an outside linebacker in really any scheme. He'll be, I don't want to say plug and play because he does have limitations, but if you need, he'll be your 2-down run-stopping linebacker. He'll be your goal line linebacker. He'll be your jumbo package linebacker just because he can fucking bring you down, and he knows how to get to the ball. So kind of the same mold as Scooby Wright, which is unfortunate because that's usually the type of linebacker I like, where they're not necessarily good athletes, but they just have great football instincts,
Right.
which means they don't play in the NFL because the NFL is full of super athlete, crazy people.
Who also have good instincts.
Who also have good instincts. And even if they don't, usually they're just super athletic, crazy people who can just say fuck it and succeed anyway. So,
Right.
yeah, I like Frank Ginda. Another guy I wanted the Browns to draft, but did not. So, hopefully this is a stepping stone for him to get
Another
back
guy.
on the NFL team.
I've never even heard of this name. See, this is what happens. I don't watch college football, so like you know a bunch of guys because of college football, and I'm like,
everybody.
they were probably like third stringers in the NFL. I have no clue who they are. But okay. So my son for the New York Guardians is defensive end, and this is my son, Toby Johnson, out of Georgia. And I'm gonna do this right now, and this might sound awful on the mic.
All right.
Skull. Another
This guy
Viking
also
son for
played
me.
the Vikings.
Another Viking son. But this is the one I actually remember playing, and I actually like a lot. So
Okay.
Edmund Robinson, I remember him because I remember when we drafted him. I remember his name, but he didn't like click immediately when I saw the name until I researched him. But this guy is a guy I remember. So this is my son. He rocked the number 69 jersey with the Vikings for one
course.
season.
Classic.
He was effective in that season. He was never a star. He filled in for Sharif Floyd, I think. Mm-hmm. When Sharif Floyd got injured a lot, because he got injured a lot. Mm-hmm. So he rocked the 69 jersey, like my boy Jared Allen. He was just this really rotund, strong dude. Like, he didn't light up the stat sheet, but he was like one of those guys, as Chris Sims says, who fucks the play up. So he's not necessarily like a stat patter.
Yes.
He brings a lot of pressure, and he makes the play not happen as it's intended to.
Yes.
He's very powerful. He overpowered a shit ton of guards. And he was not one for like flashy moves, but he just bull the shit out of linemen and just run them back into the quarterback. And the quarterback would just throw like a not great pass. Or he'd just have to throw it to the person he didn't want to throw it to. So he's just one of those guys who's like super powerful, like an immovable object. Like he's a prototypical. They say DN here, but he's more like he's an interior guy.
Yeah.
He played in a scheme that would be considered DN, but he was more of an interior guy. Just really gigantic dude, very prototypical interior D lineman. He's not a sack master, but he just brings a lot of pressure, forces the quarterback to move around. On run plays, he's like an immovable object. Like I never saw him getting really pushed back. He'd stand his ground because he's so large.
Uh-huh.
He fills gaps very well. Like on run plays, he's always in his gap because he just can't be moved. Mm-hmm. And what he lacks in speed, he makes up for in girth. He's just a classic old school fat D tackle. It's my kind of dude. I miss those kind of dudes. We have so many athletic D linemen now. I just want a dude who's not super athletic, a little chubby, a little fat, doesn't get moved. Vince Wilfork like, just a big ass dude. And he just wrecks havoc on run plays. He's quick as shit for being as big as he is. He's a good first step. Disruptor. I liked watching his tape because, again, like, I remember him, but I haven't thought about him a long time. Doing research, I get to watch his tape again. I'm like, this dude is just, he wrecks havoc, quick as shit. He's fat and he fucks shit up. And I like
fat.
it. That's my son,
Scott
Toby
Steiner.
Johnson.
He's fat. Well, that's good.
I'm fat, so I can call people fat.
Fair enough.
So it's all right.
We're all a little fat. It's all right.
All right, we're moving on to the Seattle Dragons.
Alrighty.
All right. So who is your son here?
My son here, not the first son I've ever had, but one of the first players where I was like, I like something about you, and I don't know what it is. Will Sutton. He is interior D-line out of Arizona State University. He played a little bit with the Chicago Bears, and I believe one other team, but I don't know what other team. So this dude is just a big old athlete. He's got crazy testing numbers for his size. He's just, everything he does is quick.
You know what other team he played for?
What other team did he play for?
Skull!
Did he really?
Skull!
That's hilarious. Well, there you go. So he should be your honorary son as well. So
All right, go on.
you're good. So everything he does is just quick. If he's shedding a block, the problem with that is that if he doesn't get it right away, then he gets destroyed. Which is why he's kind of not stuck anywhere too long in the NFL, because it was either, sweet, you've shed the block and you've made the play, or it's your gap is now a mile wide, which is, it can't happen in the NFL. So, but, as I said, everything he does is quick. He's an impressive block shedder. He does it more often than not, and he'll zero in quickly. So even if he's on the opposite technique of the center, where the run is going, like say they're doing an outside type run and it goes the opposite way where he's at, his closing speed is fucking nuts for someone of his size. He's run down, especially in college, he ran down a lot of running backs from behind before they get into top gear, of course, but still, that's pretty impressive. So, big athlete, big fella. I like him a lot. He's got cool dreads.
Right. I'm looking at his AAF stats. 15 tackles, a sack, and 2 pass knockdowns in 8 games.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good. I like the 2 pass knockdowns. He seems to have pretty big ass arms. I'm looking at his arm
He
length,
does.
too.
He's got some impressive triceps.
All right. I like him. That's a good son pick.
Thanks.
And someone I considered. And I don't remember. I was like, why did I consider him? And then he was on the Vikings. That makes sense. All right. My Seattle Dragons son. Sterling Moore. Cornerback from SMU. Southern Methodist University. So, I remember this guy playing in the NFL. And that a lot of that, contributes if I can remember it. I hate to pick a guy that I'm like, oh, I just learned about him now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I remember Sterling Moore playing. He had a memorable season with the Pats. He was it was their 2011-2012 run where they got to the Super Bowl and lost to the Giants. And he made a key play in the AFC Championship game. And he's just a guy I remember for that season. He's pretty good in coverage. Like, I think that's his strongest suit. He has a lot of, what am I trying to say? He has a lot of,
Chutzpah.
I don't want to say talent. What I'm trying to say is the other thing besides talent. Like, you want talent and, what is the word I'm looking for?
Work ethic?
No, like skill. Like,
Skill.
learn skills.
Okay.
There's a word
get
for
what
that
you're
I can't
saying.
think of.
Talent and...
Technique.
Technique, okay.
Technique. He has good technique.
All right.
All right. So he has good technique. He has a knack for deflecting passes. Like, he's really good at deflecting passes. He's not the biggest, like, ball hawk in the world, but he can get an interception. He's great at deflecting passes. He never really got a stable job in the NFL, but he would fill in as, like, a reserve guy, a guy who'd, like, they'd fill in for an injured guy, or he'd be lower on the depth chart and then find his way to starting when they needed him. And he competed well whenever he would get in those situations where he actually got to play a lot. And he was just one of those guys who could fill in for injured players really well on several teams. He has a lot of experience. One of the things I really like about him is he's like one of those players in the XFL that we don't have too many of them. Most of them are young guys that in the XFL right now. But he's one of those guys who's not too old. Like, I think he's 29. So he's not going to retire anytime soon.
Yeah.
But he's kind of too old to
His window's
really
shut.
like make a name for himself in the NFL and like become a starter in the NFL again. And he's one of those guys, and this kind of sounds bad to say, but I could just see him being with the XFL for a few years. And I like guys I can root for a few years in the XFL because I don't want, as much as some of my sons are guys who I'm like, oh, I hope you get back to the NFL. This is a guy who can keep playing for the Dragons. I'd be like, oh, he'll be good. He's going to be perennially a good defender in the XFL. He has a lot of experience. And hopefully I don't know if they have their version of a Pro Bowl, but he's a guy I could see, like, he could just be one of the better corners in the league just because of his experience. Like, he's never going to be too flashy, but I don't think he's going to give up a ton of big plays. Really consistent. He's a guy I like a lot. So, my son, Sterling Moore, the Seattle Dragons.
Sweet.
All right. Let's move on.
All right. So,
To
moving on
the
to
St. Louis Battlehawks.
Yes, the St. Louis Battlehawks. Now, so the Battlehawks defense, as I was looking through, a lot of old dudes who I know of, but I don't want to say are my son because their prime playing days were before I really started seriously watching football. So I didn't want to be like you said, where it's like, well, I just found out about this guy now. But then I saw a name that I did recognize and didn't know where I recognized it from. And it was Andrew Ankra, whatever. Ankra, whatever. Who
Ankra.
I have listed as an edge from James Madison University. Now,
Okay.
this dude is an AAF alum. He played for the Orlando Apollos, who had that's a sick-ass name. But anyway.
They were also the best team, if I remember correctly.
Yes. This dude is an athlete. He's got the measurements for an NFL player. And looking at some of his tape, it just kind of seems like, not that he doesn't know what to do, but there's definite gaps that even even me, who I don't know shit about shit, I'm like, well, I don't know why you did that specific thing there, or why you didn't do this here, or what you should have done was this. Not that I know shit about fucking shit, but just stuff that he can be coached up on, and I think he's only 22, so this guy was actually on the Redskins, I don't know if it was their practice squad or just their preseason roster for a while, but he's just very young, very raw. He's got all the tools. He just needs to be coached and needs to be developed into a football player. He's another one of these players where I believe that the XFL will just be a stepping stone. Don't think he'll be here for long. Mm-hmm. So I like Andrew Ankra. Okay. I wish him success.
Yeah, I like young guys too who have a lot of development, because this seems like a cool, different way to get your development than rather just be on like a practice squad or like buried deep on the depth chart. Like, go be a starter and potentially a star of this alternative league. I like that for young guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is my son. This is the most truest son of my sons, I think.
Ooh.
Of all my sons here. Mm-hmm. It's my boy Will Hill, strong safety from Florida. So this is the most unconventional way of someone becoming my son, and it's a weird reason for me being connected to this player. But this is how I first learned about this player back in like 2013 or something like that, 2014. So I play a lot of Madden. It's one of the games I play the most.
Yep.
And I like to do fantasy draft franchise. If you guys have ever played Madden, it's like fantasy football. You know, all the players are up for grabs, and you build a team that way. And I would always ignore the strong safety position. I get my quarterback, my running back, whatever. But I'd always ignore like strong safety for some reason until like one of the later rounds. By the time I get there'd only be guys in like mid, low, you know, somewhere in the 70s. Not great players, but always, my boy Will Hill was there. For some reason in Madden, he was an absolute stud, and I would never have to replace him. So initially it was like, I like this guy because he's good on my Madden team, right? So then you go, and then so past that a little bit, one of my best friends, he's a Ravens fan. So, of course, I like watching the Vikings games, and that's what I'll primarily watch. But I like to watch other football games. If I'm going to pick a games, it's probably going to be maybe the Browns because Thomas likes them, maybe the Patriots because my mom likes them, or maybe the Ravens because one of my best friends likes them, right? Mm-hmm. So I watched a lot of Ravens games. So Will Hill played with the Ravens for a little while, and during his time with the Ravens, he was not amazing, but he'd make big plays at random times, like blocked punts and things like that, interception, pick sixes that won them the game.
Kick sixes in the Browns' cases, because we suck.
Yeah. So Will Hill would just make these random big plays. And of course, as because of Madden, I was a fan of him already. I was like, hell yeah, Will Hill. Like, I just liked Will Hill a lot. I thought Will Hill was a lot better than he probably is. Mm-hmm. But because I had this connection to him in Madden, I was always just rooting for Will Hill. I was like, he has a cool name too, Will Hill. It's a cool name.
It's a cool name.
It rhymes, right? Mm-hmm. So that's how he first became my son. And then as I got to watch him play, he plays in a way that I really like. Like, he's, like I said, with Raheem Moore, very physical defensive back, an aggressive guy. But I think he's a little more controlled than Raheem Moore is. Like linebacker playing safety type guy. You can blitz him, you can drop him in coverage, you can do whatever. Either way, he's laying big hits on people. He's a big hitter. It's just, I think he opted to hit the shit out of people once they caught the ball rather than try to cover them. Mm-hmm. Like, instead of trying to get in front of the ball, deflect the pass, he was like, as soon as you touch that ball, I'm hitting the shit out of you, and we'll see what happens. And that's the kind of DB I like. And so Will Hill, he met that criteria for me. And, like with my previous guy, he sits at that age, 29, which is a weird age, right? Mm-hmm. He's already had his time in the NFL. He hasn't really stuck. Probably out of the question that he'll get back and get a starting position there again. But he's too young to just stop playing football when he has talent, right? Mm-hmm. So he's probably, just going to stick with the XFL for a little while. Mm-hmm. Hopefully play with the XFL for a few years. And I'm going to love having a son to root for years to come in the XFL. And I'll be rooting for Will Hill on the Battlehawks. So that's why he is my son.
All right. Well, the reason Will Hill dominated in Madden but was always not picked up was because, so the way Madden deals with if a player has like character concerns It just cranks their awareness down to like 40. So that's why. But anyway, yes, I do like Will Hill. I wish he made some better decisions when he was in the NFL for his personal life, but he's definitely very talented.
Right.
So, yes.
Can you expand upon what he did? Was it anything that bad? Because I don't want him to...
Nothing to where...
Like, did he beat his wife or anything?
No, nothing like that. No. Nothing. I would have said something before the show if it was something like that bad. Before you're like, I just love Will Hill. He's the best. Oh. No, just...
I did see some things that were like he clashed with coaches, but I didn't know did he actually do anything awful?
No, just like immaturity and just like drug problems.
Okay, I'm not too mad at drug problems.
Yeah, nothing like not good, but nothing like to where it's you're a scumbag or anything like that. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, he played for a long time, so he should have his shit in order. I hope, but I do like Will Hill as a player, and I have this weird connection to him because I'm Madden.
Yeah,
it's just I don't know. I like him a lot. I hope he does well. I hope he plays in the XFL for a few years so I can root for him. I just like his style of play. So, Will Hill, you are my St. Louis Battlehawks son.
All right.
Congrats, I guess. All right, let's move on.
All right. So, moving on to
last
the
team.
Tampa Bay Vipers. This guy is not my truest son of the bunch here, but he is a true son. He is Ricky Walker. He is a interior D-line. I'll specify that he can only play 3-tech from Virginia Tech. So this dude is short, and he's 6'2", 300 pounds. Which 6'2" may not seem short.
It doesn't seem short to me.
But it is. So especially with his build, he's got a squatty build, so he has very short limbs. And while that does help him get better leverage, just because he can physically get lower because his legs are physically shorter, his arms, he's got the T-Rex arm syndrome, which sucks as a D-lineman.
I had that in high school.
Yeah, it sucks because it's very frustrating, and it just sucks. But this dude, when he was at Virginia Tech, was arguably probably the best player on that D-line. And I'm kind of surprised he went undrafted. I thought the team would maybe just spend like a late round flyer on him. But looking at his tape, looking at it again for this show, you can kind of see why. His lack of length really hurts him. Like to the point where there were some, like they were playing like Boston College or something, and he just got dominated, which was rough because Ricky Walker is a very high motor player too, and so when you're just getting dicked down, and I say it like that sounds so awful, like dude, you got fucking dicked down. It's like an idiot, but
That's okay.
Sometimes you get dicked down. Sometimes you get dicked down. Fair. When you're just getting dicked down all game, but you're a high motor player who wants to do well and knows that they're good and wants to succeed, it's just you get frustrated, and you can see the frustration because he starts kind of throwing everything in the kitchen sink, trying to get past double teams, and a lot of the times that it just ended up him leaving his gap and having wide open holes. So, like I said, this dude has a relentless motor. He like Ty Schwab, plays like a fucking psycho, and he has fantastic testing numbers. He ran a 4.9. Which at 300 pounds is crazy.
That's pretty crazy.
To put that in comparison to other elite athletes at his position, Sharif Floyd ran a 4.9. And that's fucking bonkers, is all I have to say. He still got 30 reps on bench press, which is insane as well, but he does have short arms, so that makes it a little easier. But he is strong. His weight, 300, that's good enough to play 3-tech, and most 3-techs are a little shorter. But 6'2" with short limbs is just a hard sell. But I love Ricky Walker. I hope if Mark Trestman can make Ricky Walker a star, then I will be sold on Mark Trestman.
Hey, love me some Mark Trestman.
Yes.
All right. So you thought your guy was short.
Yes.
Let me tell you about my guy. So I have a D tackle.
Yes.
His name is Nikita Whitlock. So he's a new son to me. He's a guy, like, when I looked at the Tampa Bay Vipers team, no one stuck out to me as someone I already had previous knowledge of. So he's a new son when I was looking through their players. But he's pretty cool. All right? He went to Wake Forest. He's a D-tackle. But if you look him up on Wikipedia, right, the first line will not be D-tackle. He'll be listed as a defensive tackle running back hybrid. So this guy's 5'10", right? So when he was in at Wake Forest, he played nose guard. But when he went undrafted in the draft, 5'10" dude, you know, not the heaviest. I think he's like, what 285, something like that. So he went to the NFL, and they're like, you are too small. You're 5'10", 250, but we'll play you at fullback. So, you know, once he got to the NFL, he was playing fullback. He was actually a decent fullback. He beat out, when he would play fullback for his entire career in the NFL. He'd go to the Giants, and he beat out an incumbent fullback, someone who'd been playing fullback for a few years there. I don't remember who it was, but then he became their full-time fullback. After the NFL, he went to the CFL, where he played D-tackle. You know what I forgot to mention? When he was on the Giants, he got to play both D-tackle and fullback, so he got to play both. That's pretty good. So when he went to the CFL, he was playing D-tackle again, and then he got eventually converted to a running back. Not a fullback, like a full-on running back. And they would play him at D-tackle, at running back, and he'd also be a special teamser. So he'd be playing all three phases in the CFL. So that's someone who's really versatile. That's just super interesting to me. And a thing I've noticed with Mark Trestman is he's just bringing in all these versatile guys, these non-traditional kind of players, and we'll see what that does for him. But yeah, he seems strong. I mentioned this. You've now told me his form is ass.
It's okay. It's not. I mean, that's 600 pounds on his back. So I mean, like I said, thumbs up. But like, don't do that. Don't do that again.
So he squatted 594 pounds, almost 600 pounds. Thomas didn't like his form too much, but he did get low.
The depth is there. He's in the basement.
Up,
when I say form is bad, it's just the way he did it was a little dangerous, but it's fine. Okay, well, that's our Suns. And so defensive and special teams. We're not going to have anything next week for you guys. We're going to be regrouping, trying to think of new shit that we can give to you because it's kind of a slow period. So we'll figure out. Training camps are starting up again in January, so we'll have a shit ton to talk about. Hopefully we'll get out to some of those training camps. Make sure you guys head over to our YouTube, subscribe there. We put all our podcasts up on there, and we will be putting anything we get from the training camps up there. We're also planning on doing some short-form content there. So make sure you guys subscribe there. Podcasts will stay as they normally do. They'll be up on everything podcasts are available on. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter at XFL Extra Point. Send us shit to extrapointcontact@gmail.com. DM us shit you want us to talk about, general stuff like that. If you have a son that you want us to talk about or that you just want to shout out, let us know. Yeah. If you have someone you really like, and we'll look into them and give you our opinion on them. Our shitty opinion. Yes. Indeed. But, yeah, so thanks so much, guys, for listening. We're at 9 shows now. That's not including the Extra Point extras that we got from Reagan at XFL Down Under. It's been hard for him to get some interviews because of, it's a busy time. Players are at training camps and are at mini camp and Christmas. So we'll see what happens. If we get some more, we'll put them up here for you guys. So thanks so much for listening. Hope you guys tune in next time we have a show, which I think will not be next Monday, but the Monday after that. So yeah, thanks so much, guys. We'll see you next time. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. Okay, bye. Bye.